This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening live in Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Christina Pink is joining me for the first time. If you live in Los Angeles, you've seen her on Clippers coverage. If you watch the NFL, you see her on sidelines. She is a Florida Gator at heart. Can we make sure her mic is on right there?
Am I allowed to do the Gator chomp in here?
Yeah, well, we would like you to hold back on that. Although my former college buddy Jim McElwain now coaches that team. It's great to have you, and I've asked management a couple of times if by chance you could fill in, and I'm so happy you're here today, and nice to meet you. And good show today. Let me start everybody with this. Today is the last stop in the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather press tour. It started here in Los Angeles, then it went to Toronto, beautiful city. Then it went to New York, and then yesterday it was London, and now today it's London. It's all over, right? So here's what's really something that I'm kind of surprised we're all okay with. Like Muhammad Ali was a trash talker, but Muhammad Ali was amazing. And generally we're okay with Michael Jordan having confidence or Larry Bird coming out to the three-point shooting contest. And remember the old story about Larry Bird? He came out for the three-point shooting contest, and Larry Bird said, all right, which one of you guys is playing for second place? But we're all okay with that as sports fans. Larry's a legend. Muhammad Ali was amazing. Michael Jordan, greatest ever. Here's what's interesting. A lot of you are betting Conor McGregor. None of the wise guys, none of the sharps. You do realize that Conor McGregor is just a loudmouth, and not only is he going to not just lose the fight, but never win a round? He's already lost 3 times as a UFC fighter. So he's not even dominating, I mean truly dominating, as a UFC fighter. Right now he's a con man selling you pay-per-views. And you may not like Floyd Mayweather, and I don't like a lot of things in his past, but he's actually been somewhat demure and more tasteful than Conor McGregor. If you go to the odds in Vegas, which RJ Bell told us this morning, it's Floyd minus 700. Now, it opened at like Floyd minus 2250, meaning you'd have to bet basically $2,200 to win a nickel. But it's been bet down by rubes and like common bettors. Wise guys, sharps, they're all on Mayweather, and you should be. But minus 700. Now, think about this. Basically, this would be, and we looked it up this morning, this would be the 150th ranked player on the tennis tour trash-talking Roger Federer at Wimbledon. This would be Coastal Carolina trash-talking Kentucky. I went and looked this morning at the odds of some football games. Kent State plays Clemson this year. Kent State is a 38-point underdog. This would be Kent State talking trash at the 50-yard line to Clemson before kickoff. UTEP is a 44-point dog against Oklahoma. This would be UTEP going into Norman, Oklahoma, because remember, Mayweather is fighting in a boxing ring. It's home ring advantage. What would we do in sports if Winthrop, if Coastal Carolina went into Lexington and talked trash and got beat by 40? We'd call them buffoons. What would we do if UTEP or Kent State went into Oklahoma or Clemson? But some of you were just okay with Conor McGregor, who is UTEP here, who is Kent State, who is Coastal Carolina, who is Winthrop, who would be the New Orleans Pelicans in a 7-game series against the Warriors, and you're okay with him trash-talking. He's a loudmouth who has 3 losses in the UFC alone. All he is during these press conferences is louder. He's not right. He's louder. The opening line tells you this is a complete and utter mismatch. This is a 16 against a 1 seed. And the 1 seed is playing at home. Think about this. McGregor has to wear boxing gloves. Think about that. So Mayweather is controlling even what these guys wear. That's Kentucky playing Coastal Carolina, and Kentucky says it's in our arena, and you have to wear our jerseys inside out. This is a complete, utter mismatch from gear. By the way, Mayweather will make twice as much as Conor McGregor. Yet people are cheering Conor McGregor at this. So you would cheer UTEP talking trash to Clemson, or Kent State against Clemson, or Coastal Carolina taking on Duke and Kentucky. This fight will not be competitive. Vegas knows it will not be competitive. Wise guys are overwhelmingly betting McGregor. McGregor is going to make half as much. McGregor has to wear Mayweather's gear. McGregor has no rules in his advantage. He is right now a loudmouth con man selling pay-per-views. And he is the most vulgar and outspoken at this press conference, and everybody's apparently okay with it. And I find it interesting. Maybe this is just how culturally boxing and mixed martial arts lands for us, that we just like the blather. But can you imagine somebody that's this decided an underdog talking trash? This would be Jim McNeely talking. Who's the guy that fought Mike Tyson? McNeely? Peter McNeely. This would be Peter McNeely talking ultimate trash to Mike Tyson. You would laugh at it. So I just want you to know that I may not like Mayweather, but he's not the loudmouth here. He is not the loudmouth. Conor McGregor is. And Mayweather is not the con man here. McGregor is. He's got no chance to win a fight. He's got virtually no chance to win a round. He's having to submit with gear and money, gloves, ring. He is completely sold out for cash here. Mayweather's going to make money. He said, I don't want to make this a circus. Boxing gloves, boxing ring. Conor McGregor's like, make it a circus. I'll sell pay-per-view. So I just want you to know that as much as everybody is cheering Conor McGregor, he's the con man here. Let me segue into this. So I watched Lonzo Ball again last night. I watched some Summer League stuff. I know most of you don't. And Lonzo's statistical line was okay. He's the first player ever to have a triple-double at the Summer League, and he just had his second last night. I didn't think he was particularly effective. I thought he looked gassed. I think it is now time for the Lakers to take him out of Summer League and rest him. I think it's time for the Lakers to scale back on the minutes. I got the distinct feeling last night that the Lakers almost care about Lonzo's points and stats, and the Lakers almost care about winning this thing, and it means nothing. I like Lonzo Ball. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. I've even on occasion defended his outrageous promoting dad. But Lonzo Ball is averaging the second most minutes of anybody in the Summer League. That's pumping up his stats. Dennis Smith at Dallas and Josh Jackson at Phoenix and Jason Tatum at Boston have been far better players so far, and De'Aaron Fox has been more efficient. This is not an argument. The stats for Lonzo Ball now are being pumped up by simply the minutes he is playing. Here's the reality of Summer League basketball. Lonzo Ball, who's going to be a very nice player, is shooting an atrocious 36% and playing no defense against scrubs. And last night, he looked tired. It's time to pull him. It's time to scale it back. They already pulled out Brandon Ingram. Last night, guys named Kay Felder, Sir Dominic Pointer, T.J. Williams, Anthony Gill, Eddie Tavares, Gerald Beverly, Sam Cassell Jr., they were scoring on Lonzo Ball. These are scrubs. He's shooting 36%. He's playing no defense. Can't stop anybody. He looks tired. Okay, and I'm a fan of Lonzo Ball, and I think he's going to be a terrific rookie. And I think he's remarkably interesting for the Lakers, and he'll elevate the team. But let's not kid ourselves now. Let's add some context to this. He is atrocious defensively and can't shoot against scrubs. And the Lakers over-under is 32.5 wins. It has not moved in a week when Lonzo Ball's played well. Let's add context to this. I felt watching last night, it felt like a little bit of a charade. It was, let's keep playing Lonzo Ball. He was on the court last night looking for places to rest. He threw up a three-pointer last night that not only didn't hit the rim, it hit the side of the backboard, and he was open. Scale it back, pull him off the floor, reduce minutes, give him a night off. Summer League is fun to talk about for guys like me. It means nothing. These are scrubs. Lonzo's unrefined. He's going to get better. But last night's the first night I thought, why is he on the floor? This is to pump up minutes, to pump up stats, to pump up points. I like him as a draft pick. I would have picked him. I'm all in on the kid. But let's add context. Let's not make this into a charade. Right now, Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Dennis Smith have been more efficient. They're playing fewer minutes. They're playing more consistent basketball, and they all look to be in better shape. At this point, Lonzo looks gassed and needs a break. For the record, the best game he played was after he rested for a game. Nice to have you in. Packed today. A variety of things coming up. One of the things, something happened yesterday, and not all sports are obviously equal. Not all people are equal in sports, and not all situations are. I am very happy to see something happening, although I wasn't necessarily happy to see the same person doing something 3 years ago. Yeah, I hate to break your feelings, all you MMA fans, but Conor McGregor's a loudmouth who has no chance to win even a round. And he has sold his soul. I watched this yesterday. Conor McGregor sold his soul for this fight. He won't even wear UFC gloves. All the rules are in Mayweather's favor. Can you imagine if you had some competition in life? Basically, Conor McGregor signed a prenup for this fight, and he'll get nothing in a divorce. That's what this has come out to. This is so ridiculous that I am for publicity, and I think it'll be interesting. But you UFC fans that think he has a chance to win a round are ridiculous. None of the sharp money in Vegas, none of it is on McGregor. It's all on Mayweather. And the only people fighting, like MMA fans are always like, you don't get our sport. Here's what I get. Your best fighter sold his soul to be in this fight. Floyd Mayweather's like, we're using boxing gloves. McGregor's like, okay, I'll do the boxing gloves. Floyd Mayweather's like, no, we'll fight in a boxing ring. And McGregor's like, okay, I'll fight in your ring too. And Mayweather's like, I'll make 2 to 3 times as much as you will. And McGregor's like, okay, all right, I'll do that. And who's the loudmouth at this PR tour? It's not Mayweather. It's not Kentucky basketball. It's not Tom Brady. It's not Ali. It's not Clemson football. The loudmouth in this battle is the 38-point underdog, and who sold his soul. This is what they call in college football a body bag game, where Kent State knows they're going to go to Oklahoma or Clemson, lose by 40, and they just do it for a paycheck. That's selling your soul. You do that to keep your program alive. You do realize that's what Conor McGregor's doing here. He has sold his soul for this. He has no chance to win. He's not even going to wear boxing gloves. He's not even going to fight in an octagon. None of the rules favor him. He just sold all of it so I can get a paycheck. And then he goes out, yells, screams, and his fans buy it. And by the way, I'm going to watch it too. But it is remarkable how people are cheering for Conor McGregor, and they're upset. I mean, yesterday, Mayweather literally threw dollar bills at Conor, calling him his stripper. I mean, that's how he sees it. That's how everybody that's organizing this, that's not a UFC fan, that's how they see this. It's just a complete sellout to make money for McGregor. And by the way, good for Dana White. People are going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. It's going to be interesting. It's late August. I'm dying for stuff like this. Go buy the pay-per-view. But if you're cheering Conor and booing Mayweather, just know the real story here. My second takeaway to start the show, Christina Pink joining me today, is, listen, Lonzo Ball is going to be terrific. I'm for him. Last night was the first time I watched Lonzo Ball, and I thought, okay, now this is about padding some stats, winning games. Stop it. Summer League is not refined. It's scrubs. Lonzo looks gassed. He is not playing any defense. He was going at half speed late in the game. You're just padding stats now. He has not shot the ball well. In the second half especially, he's playing no defense. He looks tired. He's taking bad shots. Let's stop this.
Well, he had that one game where he went off for like 36, and I think the bar was set so high that people expect him to do the same thing the next night. He had a poor shooting night. But at this point, it's Summer League. We've seen his skill set. We know what he can do.
And by the way, the Lakers said with Brandon Ingram, stubbed his toe. They're like, okay, we're taking him out. because the Lakers don't have to sell Brandon Ingram. Last night felt to me like a sales job, like the Lakers are taking this stuff seriously. Don't. And this is not criticism of Lonzo. This is a reality. This is Summer League. I talk about it because it's slow. You think I'd talk about this September through February? You think I'd be talking about this league? It's July. It's August. We're all ready to take a vacation. I want to say this, too. I was very tough on Tim Tebow as a football player, as a pro football player. Loved him as a college player. But Tim Tebow last night, Port St. Lucie, moved up to single A baseball. Tim Tebow, now batting .327, did this.
And he drives the ball deep left field, going back to the wall. This one is gone! Bye-bye baseball! Tim Tebow, a walk-off home run! Oh, they're going to get him at home. Mets win 5-4. Tim Tebow, the Magic.
That's the greatest baseball moment I've ever seen in Port St. Lucie. Okay, first of all, Michael Jordan never looked like a baseball player. Tebow sort of does. He's kind of thick and compact. He kind of looks like a slugger in baseball. Minor league baseball is made for Tim Tebow. It's why I've always been supportive here. There's a minor league baseball team called the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. I'm not making this up. They had a game on Father's Day. This is an actual promotion they did. They had a You Are Not the Father's Day promotion, and they handed out pregnancy tests. I'm not joking here. That's what they do in minor league baseball. Minor league baseball, I worked for 2 years in minor league baseball. They bury engagement rings on the infield. They have almost ridiculous, goofball, offensive promotions. They give away stuff. It's not about winning. Sandy Alderson, who runs the Mets, acknowledged, quote, look, we signed him because he's a good guy. He's a celebrity, partly because it's entertainment. My attitude is, why not? Minor league baseball does not have a big TV contract. Minor league baseball does not have enormous digital rights. They need to sell tickets for $6 a pop. Michael Jordan did and was awful. Tim Tebow's doing the same, and he's pretty decent. He's not a great player. He's not a major league player, and I'd be bothered if he was taking a major league job. But he is attendance HGH. He is doubling and tripling the attendance of everywhere he goes. And the Florida State League is a league that nobody goes to. It's in Florida. It's in the summer. It's outdoors. Okay, nobody goes to these games. In a country that's incredibly divided, he is a unifying experience in sports. And I'm a cynical guy, and most people aren't. And sometimes the media just misses things because we're too cynical. He is the ultimate good guy, underdog, and a perfect fit for his brand is minor league baseball. But you tell me he's an NFL quarterback, I'm going to beat him up a little. I'm going to be critical of him. But if you're going to argue that he's not a minor league player and should not be promoted in the minor leagues, you're just wrong. He is exactly what minor league baseball should be. Fun, lively, selling out crowds. I worked in minor league baseball. There is always room for Tim Tebow. And Mark Schlereth, whose son's a major leaguer and played in the minors, on this show recently and defended Tebow.
I'm telling you, he's a better baseball player, not than a football player. The kid's a great football player. He's not a quarterback. He can't play that position. And he's been offered opportunities to play other positions, and he turned them down because he wanted to be a quarterback. Right now, he's a better baseball player than he was a quarterback.
Listen, this is fun. This is unifying. This is minor league baseball. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Look at their promotional card. I have no problem at all with this. If you tell me he's a major league player and he takes a job from a major leaguer, I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with somebody who's got more talent and has committed 12 years of their lives playing minor league baseball. This is where Tebow should be, and I would sign him to a lifetime minor league contract for as long as he could wobble out to the field and swing a bat. That was a magical. Later in the show, I'm going to compare that home run and Aaron Boone's against the Red Sox. I'm not sure which gives me more goosebumps. Christina with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Way to welcome me in, talking Tebow, Gator connection. I love it. You know, McGregor, really no shot in this fight. We've talked about it. That's the general consensus. But still, the hype machine continues to roll on. They've been to LA, Toronto, New York. They're in London today. Controversial comments at every stop of this tour. But when they were in LA, McGregor made a very bold prediction. So let's take a listen to it.
He is There's no other way about it. His little legs, his little core, his little head. I'm going to knock him out inside 4 rounds. Mark my words.
Mark my words, indeed. So that is Conor McGregor saying that he is going to knock out Floyd Mayweather in 4 rounds. And guess what? Now Vegas is actually taking bets on this right now. It is plus 1,000, Colin. Do you think people are crazy for actually betting on him?
Listen, if you didn't have boxing gloves and it was in an octagon and there was wrestling involved, it's a whole different ballgame. But this is asking Michael Jordan to put on a helmet and play by football rules. This is telling Tom Brady that you can't use gear and have wide receivers and go play basketball. The idea that boxing and MMA are close, they're not close. You know, you think because you have a hospital and you have a brain surgeon upstairs and a baby doctor downstairs, or they just both have their medical degree. MMA and boxing are 2 totally separate sports, and in this instance, the better boxer than UFC fighter is getting all the advantages with the rules and the gear. It's not going to be competitive.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what everybody thinks. But hey, Vegas has got people coming in and betting on it. Now, we're going to talk a little NBA next. This next story, Carmelo Anthony, it's been pretty much a foregone conclusion, I think, the last 48 hours that he won't be rocking a Knicks jersey again. Yeah. Most likely in Houston, along with Chris Paul, James Harden. There's also been talks about him going to Cleveland. But hold on, the Knicks have now pushed the pause button on this. This is according to ESPN that they have halted those trade talks. Now, all season there's been these discussions about can Melo waive his no trade clause. Now they've got the talks that, okay, we could trade him, but now we're not really sure if we like the offer. So the one thing we know is that this can't go into the season, right? They can't allow this to get messy.
Well, the Knicks now have hired a new front office person, and Chris Broussard will join me in a couple of minutes. I was talking to Chris before the show that the sense is the guy the Knicks hired in their front office is a Melo fan, and that if they're going to move Melo, they're going to get more than Houston is offering. So this has always been the way pro sports works. Some GMs love certain players, some GMs don't. And I think the Knicks' new front office guy tends to be a Melo fan. And so I think he wants to say, hold on, let me get my arms around this first couple of weeks on the job. If we're going to do this, I want more in return.
Right, absolutely. Now, Rajon Rondo has had meetings with the Lakers, and now possibly the New Orleans Pelicans could be bringing him in on a 1-year deal. There's potential there. This is according to ESPN. He does have a relationship with DeMarcus Cousins. They played together in Sacramento. They've obviously got that tremendous front court in Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins. Would this be a good fit, having him play in New Orleans if it happens?
I think the book is out on Rondo, and I don't think it works. New Orleans is one of those organizations. They're just trying to be interesting. And, you know, the Boogie thing didn't elevate him. I don't think the Rondo thing would elevate him a ton. I think the pro sports is forgiving, but at some point the chapters are written. And I think with Rondo, he is largely seen as short-term stopgap. So I don't see him as somebody you build around at any point. I think Rondo's a really smart kid that's very difficult. A lot of difficult people are smart. They have high expectations and standards, but I don't think it means much to the team.
I think it could be they're not building around him. They've obviously got their pieces in Anthony Davis, and he did have a great little playoff run before he got hurt in Chicago.
He did, but Anthony Davis is the key, and if you start surrounding Anthony Davis with Boogie and Rondo, and they're difficult, are you really selling Anthony Davis on, hey man, this organization's non-chaotic? Be very careful about surrounding Anthony Davis, who's really the prize here, with difficult players. Because what if Anthony Davis wakes up one morning and his coach is fighting with Rondo again, and he's like, man, I'm out of here. I don't want this chaos. I'm Anthony Davis. I want to go to Boston. So I think it's actually kind of a dangerous move.
Okay.
Christina, the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
Bring
News.
in my man, Chris Broussard. Okay, I made my statement earlier, Chris. I made my statement that I thought the line was crossed last night with Lonzo Ball. I thought he looked gassed. I thought he was resting on the floor. He's played the second most minutes. I totally understand the Lakers embracing it. Could I make the argument this morning that it's just time, you've seen what you need to see, this is scrubs, let's pull him out of the Summer League?
I didn't have a problem with it. Honestly, I mean, I thought he looked good. Obviously, he had another triple-double. And I think the things that you're seeing from him are things that will translate to the NBA. So you're right. I mean, obviously, this is an NBA talent. But I'm not looking at it like, oh, he's not going to be able to do this against superior players. I don't expect him to put up these types of numbers right away. But his passing, his vision, even defensively, look, he's not going to be able to stay in front of anybody. He can't right now.
He can't stay in front of these guys.
No, and he can't get over the screens. But he is a very good kind of roamer. You know, he's got good instincts. He's getting all these steals by kind of roaming and, you know, just getting in passing lanes and things like that, being disruptive. So his defense hasn't been bad from that standpoint. But I like what he's doing is setting a tone for this team because they're a young team. I know Brandon Ingram isn't playing, but a lot of these guys will be playing with him, or at least some of them. And he's setting a tone because you can see how everybody's making the extra pass.
Yes.
Now. You know, I mean,
he's a culture changer.
Oh, yes. And I think it's beginning right here. So, no, I don't really have a problem with it. He already sat out one game, and when he did, he got crushed for it. Everybody thought he was ducking De'Aaron Fox. So you can't win or lose if you're in his position.
Okay, so Lonzo, his dad put him in that big baller brand shoe, and now he has worn 3 different shoes in 3 different games. Is that a shot at his dad?
I mean, look, no, I don't think so. I think there are a few possibilities. Number one, that this is marketing and he's going to sign a deal with one of the big 3, Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour.
So he's basically dangling this out there. Look at the kind of attention. By the way,
exactly, like you just
we're reporting it this morning.
We're
that he wore
reporting
Adidas.
It. How many times have you seen a player's shoes like that on the screen? In a game. I haven't even seen that with LeBron's. You know, and so they can go to Nike and say, look, they zeroed in on his shoes. You need to sign us. And look, if he goes to Nike at the beginning of the next season or Adidas or whoever, they will do the same thing in his first televised game because people will say, wow, he left big baller. He never did that. Look at what he's wearing now. And so it could be great marketing on their part. Number 2, they don't have the shoes manufactured. You know, people pre-ordered. So they still have to make them. They were going to get them in November. Maybe he went to Vegas with 1 or 2 pair, 3 pair, and he wore them out. Because usually they wear a pair of shoes 1 or 2 games max.
Chris, if I was the CEO of Nike or Adidas, and I was watching the Summer League, you got to be kidding me. I don't know what they paid for Ben Simmons last year. I think it would be ridiculous to not sign Lonzo Ball to a shoe deal. Are you kidding me?
What type of because he got offered $10 million for 5 years from
Oh
the 3
God,
companies.
I'd pay way more than that. I would pay $5 million a year. I don't know the numbers, but listen, Ben Simmons was popular last year. In my career, 20 years of doing this, I have never spent any time in the Summer League until last year, marginally. You going to tell me? Well, let's say ads for Summer League cost $10,000 and they start talking shoes for a couple of different minutes. I mean, I look at all these.
He could have a deal. His shoes could be as popular as Kyrie's or right now.
I totally agree with that.
If I'm Nike.
Derrick Rose sold shoes and never played.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I think the other possibility is that the shoes just aren't that good and they were messing up his feet or he could tell when he played in them. I don't think so. We saw the shoes when they were here. They looked like they were decent quality.
Okay.
I wasn't that impressed with the way they looked, but as far as the quality, they looked like they would be okay. They'd hold up. But this could be magnificent marketing on LeVar's part.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I think it's an important step of independence for Lonzo. You know, I like the fact that because even when he was asked the first night, why didn't he wear the big baller brands? He said Mamba mentality. Like, that's an answer. If you were still trying to promote big baller, you would have said, I ran out of shoes, or, I just wanted a chain, something. But he said Mamba mentality. That makes you think that this could be marketing.
Okay, I have two huge issues to address with Chris Broussard. I'll do it on the other side. Two big issues. This was the small issue. I want to bring up a topic with Chris Broussard. We've seen so many stars leave places. LeBron to Cleveland, LeBron previously to Miami, Kevin Durant to Golden State, Shaq went to Orlando. The outrage and shock is done. In my opinion, shock and anger with car chases ended like 10, 15 years ago. It used to be if you saw a car chase on TV, it was like, what the hell? Now it's, we analyze it.
Yeah.
It used to be reality show behavior was shocking. Now we kind of look at it, go, wow, we analyze it. We have moved out of the shocked when players leave post KD. Gordon Hayward was, let's analyze it. In fact, you could argue that we wouldn't understand if Paul George didn't leave OKC. You wanted to go to LA, Lonzo Ball's a passer, Russell's a shooter. So I am going to pretend, let's say LeBron says this. I'm going to bring back the decision. I changed the word. See if you can notice subtly. What if he said this at the end of next year?
LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to
the beach
and join
the Lakers.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
Why?
Like I said before, I feel like it's going to give me the best opportunity to win.
Okay.
I couldn't tell. That was great.
Okay. You would not be shocked by that. You are not shocked by a car chase. I think we would analyze it, and a lot of people would go, no, his business is out there, Lonzo. Oh, I get it.
Well, I think several things. One, I think the reason we're no longer critical of these players is because LeBron, number one, in that incident, took all the heat. I mean, we know he got crushed. He took the heat. And then last summer when Kevin Durant did it, he got crushed as well. And now both players ended up winning championships.
It was the right move.
Yeah, and it looked like the right move. So now if Westbrook or Paul George or whoever goes to join a super team, it's not going to be criticized anymore. Gordon Hayward, I think he's just not that level of player.
Fair.
And he went to a team that's not going to win a championship even with him. But if it's a Harden or, whoever makes this type of move.
The world's changed.
Yeah. We will no longer look down on that play.
I think LeBron knows that. LeBron didn't like to be the villain. I believe we've moved into the, oh, I get it, star moves, and now we analyze whether or not it's a good move. Now, you talk to players. What do they think?
Well, there are a number of players that think he's going to go to L.A. Now, I talked to one recently who said that he definitely thinks that's going to happen.
And it's a good player.
He told me it's a very good player. It's a top player in the league. He told me he has no knowledge of this. He said, I haven't talked to LeBron about it. I have no knowledge about it. But I just think when I look at what's going on, I think that's going to happen. I don't think at this point that LeBron knows what he's going to do. I think, like you played in the clip, gives me my best chance to win, right? If he leaves Cleveland and your desire is to win, to beat Golden State, I think there's one place that's ahead of everywhere else, and it's not the Lakers. It's San Antonio.
Oh, don't say that.
It's San Antonio.
Oh.
The best coach in the league.
Oh.
Greg Popovich is winning 60-plus games with Dwayne Dedman as his center. With Aaron Baines getting big minutes. With Patty Mills being a huge rotation player.
Patty Mills is a cheap shot. Not on this show.
I like Patty Mills, but look at how he has done so well with just players that elsewhere were not able to do what you put LeBron with him. He's given LeBron more trouble than any coach.
Okay, that's all fine.
In his career.
Listen to how casual Fran Fraschilla was last night in the summer.
I heard Fran.
Now listen to this. Listen how casual this conversation is. It is not outrage.
It's going to be hard for Paul George and LeBron James not to end up with the Lakers. Wow. I just think it's going to be. I think I would put odds on that happening as opposed to not happening.
Look at that.
He always seems to be a free agent even when he's not.
Okay,
he's got good timing.
But
yeah,
he sure does. He said it like it's happening.
He said it casually.
I will say this, and look, like I said, I firmly believe, talking to a lot of people around this situation, LeBron doesn't know what he's going to do yet.
I agree with you.
Okay. I'm not ruling out the possibility of him leaving. However, I'll say, and Fran probably, I'm assuming what sparked him to say that he's in Las Vegas, all the executives and the scouts and the coaches are there. Around the league, a lot of people do think he's going.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Just as many people, if not more, thought Russell Westbrook was going to the Lakers and then maybe, if not the Lakers, the Knicks. You couldn't find anyone outside of maybe Oklahoma City who thought Russ would stay there. So I'm saying league scuttlebutt is not always correct. It's just guys going off feelings. Because LeBron's camp is very tight. And when he left Cleveland, when he left Miami, nobody had a clue until a day or two before. And so it's hard for me to believe that all of a sudden, a year out, his business is all in the streets.
No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, the shock equals anger phase is gone in the NBA. We have moved into let's analyze the move. And if Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball and this new Laker team is interesting, and you get Paul and LeBron, I simply think he's going to consider it. And he understands going in now. The venom is over. For NBA players, the venom of leaving. KD changed the rules. After KD won, it's like, okay, you guys are dumb not to go. Okay, let's shift gears. Couple minutes left. You are a boxing guy. You know the sport really well. I don't think McGregor wins a round. I think he's a loudmouth. I think that he has basically signed a prenup, getting nothing in return except cash. That's what desperate people do. I thought it reached a tipping point yesterday where it was too vulgar. What's your takeaway on this?
Well, first of all, just seeing it again makes me feel a little bit scummy. You know, I mean, you're starting to get that feel like we've never seen anything in mainstream American sports like this. And I hope we never see anything again like this because, like you said, I grew up a huge boxing fan. 10, 11, 12 years old. I'm always into Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Ali. I would have wanted to watch these promotions as a kid, but I wouldn't let my son watch this. You know, I don't know they hear it at school and even in the music now, but this has just gone way too far. And as far as McGregor selling out, I don't think he sold out. I think he really thinks he can win. I think McGregor is coming at this like, in a real fight, in the octagon, I would destroy Floyd Mayweather, and he would.
Yes.
So he's thinking, I'm just going to bum rush him in the ring. But the problem is that when you get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, it's unlike anything you've ever experienced. It's certainly him.
Listen,
McGregor.
The other day you saw Floyd's dad?
Yeah.
Okay, tell the story.
His dad, Floyd Sr., was of course here, and he did Undisputed and the Herd. And we were in a dressing room and, I just went in there to meet him and say hello. And he started shadow boxing at, 65, 60 years old? I don't know how old he is, but he was lightning fast. I mean, I could not believe how quickly he was moving his hands. And I was like, imagine how fast Floyd Jr. is.
By the way, if bum rushing works Floyd, why isn't everybody doing it?
Exactly. Two things. One, I think he hit, even though he's not a knockout artist, he hits hard enough to keep you at bay.
Of course.
Where you're not just going to run in there and just get all up on him. Number two, his reactions throw you off. Robert Guerrero, he was saying in a recent article, he fought Floyd, and he said when you get in the ring with him, he's so quick that your game plan just goes right out the window.
It's jarring.
Yeah, because you can't hit him, and he hits you 2 or 3 times before you can get off your punch.
First hour down, second one coming up, The Herd. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Christina Pink is joining me, filling in for Christine Leahy, who is in Europe on one of those high-end, hipster, romantic vacations.
Very fancy vacations. Good for Christine.
I go to Utah, hang out with my kids. She goes to Europe on a romantic destination. And it's great to have you here. Christina works on the NFL with us and does a lot of NBA stuff, sidelines here in Los Angeles. She is a Florida Gator through and through. What was your first market you worked in local TV?
Jackson, Mississippi.
Wow.
Jackson, I think it's market 90-ish. This was my first job right out of college.
Yeah, Vegas was 90, and then it grew really fast into like market 45. Mine was Vegas. And did you ever work with a guy named Mike Woolfolk?
I did not.
I think he works there. In local TV, I've worked with so many people through the years, and you have, I'm sure. So it's great to have you here. I saw a story. One of the things that I have noticed since Trump became president is there is this sense that Trump is against the media. And to that I say he appears to be, but the media's approval ratings have gone down for years before Donald Trump. Just like congressional approval ratings have gone down. Who's to blame? The American public, by and large, trusts the right people. We tend to trust our doctors. We do trust our doctors. We don't trust our congressmen. They're politicians. We understand the game. We do not trust, increasingly, the media. Somebody who is actually covered by the media, I don't trust the media in large part. That's not saying I don't trust everybody in the media. But the media plays favorites, and that's what Twitter has created. Twitter has not become a tool for the media. It's basically illustrating all the agendas and biases in the media, which we always thought could be possible. And now we go, oh, hell, they do lean way left. And I'm not a conservative. I am an Obama voter twice. But Twitter has exposed the agendas and biases that we all suspected the media had. That's exactly what it's done. It's not a powerful tool. It is basically uncovering the truth, which we all suspected. I'm in the media. It's way more left than I ever thought. And I thought it was left. Well, Gus Malzahn comes out yesterday, and he's basically saying at the SEC Media Days is the NFL needs to better protect Cam Newton, and it's just a bunch of baloney. Now, he's not a member of the media. Cam has, frankly, not worked hard enough as a pocket quarterback, and now has to make so many plays with his feet, he's beat up 7 years into the league. He has no excuses. He's had a stable ownership group. He's had stability at head coach, the same quarterback coach, in his division, on average, better defenses, but he has simply not worked hard enough at being a pocket quarterback. Therefore, he's had to rely on his feet out of the pocket and has taken shots. But what I found interesting with this is there are 4 or 5 people in the media that the media defends constantly. It is remarkable who the media defends and who they criticize. Russell Westbrook shot 42%, was number 2 in turnovers, statistically was atrocious defensively, and I think to some degree pushed KD out of town, and wins the MVP. LeBron's not in the top 3. Because there is a Russell Westbrook empathy bias. No question. He won a single playoff game. He's talented. He's not that valuable. J.J. Watt gets a pass from the media. J.J. Watt spends a lot of time, even in football season. I see him in commercials. J.J. Watt's team won the division and a playoff game when he got hurt. And they were atrocious at quarterback while they were winning games. He is elevated beyond his importance. And if you just add context to J.J. Watt and say J.J. Watt's talented but not worth nearly what he's paid, that is seen as dubious criticism. Cam Newton, since he's broken into this league, is 24th in the NFL in passer rating. That's atrocious. 58.6 completion percentage last year. That is atrocious. Cam Newton is pandered to by the media. J.J. Watt is pandered to by the media. Russell Westbrook is pandered to by the media. Yet the media has always been critical of Andy Reid, who they pick and choose. Andy Reid has won over 60% of his NFL games. His quarterbacks have often been Jeff Garcia, Michael Vick, Ty Detmer, Alex Smith. He's won 60% of his games. Sean Payton is celebrated. He's won 58%. Tom Coughlin, celebrated, won 53%. Andy Reid's won 60% of his games and gets criticized in this league. Isn't it interesting who we protect Cam, who we criticize Andy Reid? Andy Reid with Donovan McNabb, the minute Andy Reid left, Donovan McNabb was awful. We do this with Andrew Luck. If Andrew Luck was on the block tomorrow in the NFL with Cam Newton, there's not a GM in the league, including Carolinas, by a secret vote that wouldn't take Andrew Luck. First 3 years in the league, 11-5, 11-5, 11-5, got to an AFC championship with virtually no repeat Pro Bowlers on the roster and a below-average O-line. The media has lost trust because the media has empathy bias, political bias, fan bias. Look at who the NFL pro sports media, Westbrook, J.J. Watt, Cam Newton, overly favorable coverage when the data provides a clear picture of reality. Look at who the media nibbles away at and picks on, Andrew Luck and Andy Reid, when the data provides truth. So when I hear all this whining about Trump, the media's trust factor was dropping precipitously pre-Trump. It was dropping during Obama. It will drop post-Trump. Social media has provided a clear truth serum that the biases that we suspected are now more prevalent than we ever thought. That includes myself. It is remarkable when we'll go into this season and mark my words, and I think Cam's going to have a very good bounce-back year. Watch the coverage. Just watch it. Just watch who the media picks on. Watch who they defend. It's very clear. They've got biases, often unfounded. Also wanted to touch on this in regards to the LeBron-Lakers topic. We call it LeBronzo. Is that, you know, a lot of people think it's clickbait. It's not. I said this to Chris Broussard. I truly believe this is the way society works. Is that I remember reading a story once about sex and TV. You know, 50 years ago, if two people were in bed, they could not be under the covers. And then over time, they could be under the covers, but both legs had to be out. And then they could be under the covers, no legs, and they could kiss. And now, you know, you watch 2.5 Men, you watch some of these shows, and it's pretty steamy. The point being is, over time, we develop sort of like calluses, a body armor. We are less shocked by things. I think when Kevin Durant goes to Golden State is the last time we'll ever be shocked by player movement in sports. I think LeBron initially made us angry. We were shocked when Kevin Durant did it. We didn't like the lack of loyalty. But what it's created is an opening now for LeBron to go to L.A. LeBron said, I don't like being a villain. I don't like it at all. LeBron can now go, much like my car chase theory. You used to watch car chases and you literally go, dude, get over here, watch the TV. You don't do that anymore. When there's a car chase on TV, we're numb to it. We now analyze it. I honestly believe if LeBron chose the Lakers, there would be no outrage and there would be no shock. I think we would analyze it, understand it, that if Lonzo and Ingram improve and the Lakers this year win 34 of 35 games, they can bring Paul George in. We would totally understanding LeBron's business. We'd understand the mechanisms of player movement, and we'd be okay with it. So I think the shock and awe of player movement has created an opening for players to move more, even LeBron, to a third team. And I said this yesterday. All legends have 3 stages. Spielberg, Jay-Z, Michael Jordan's are the one I use. Hey, look how great I am. Platinum Records titles, mogul stage. Spielberg did it. Starts with E.T., look at my talent. goes into Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, heavy all-time stuff, into I'm going to forge with Barry Diller, DreamWorks.
Yeah, I remember if any top 5 player switches teams, it's no longer shocking. I 100% agree with you. Before it stopped the presses, what is happening here? You know, what is going on in the NBA? But we've seen it with LeBron, with KD. So at this point, any guy that's going to move, switch teams, change markets, it's not going to surprise anybody at this point.
Fran Fraschilla on the air last night, and he's just talking about it like they're talking about Brandon Ingram's free throw shooting. I mean, Fran Fraschilla brings it up. And this is not clickbait. This is how we now see player movement.
It's going to be hard for Paul George and LeBron James not to end up with the Lakers. Wow. I just think it's going to be, I think I would put odds on that happening as opposed to not happening.
Okay. He always seems to be a free agent even when he's not.
You know, he's got good timing.
Yeah, he sure does.
Casual. Matter of fact. No big deal. Laughed about it. So this is not LeBron to the Lakers, LeBronzo. It's not crazy. I think now we've built up some calluses for it. We expect it. We analyze it. We're not outraged by it. He got a title at Cleveland. I would be surprised, as he has spent big chunks of his summer here in Brentwood, California, which is a very high-end neighborhood in Los Angeles, not far from us actually. I would be surprised at this point, honestly, if he didn't consider it. I'd be surprised. And I don't think it's clickbait. I don't, in any, do you think it would have been clickbait if I said a year ago, KD to the Warriors? You would have claimed that's clickbait. KD to the Warriors, you would have said, Colin, this is clickbait. Does anybody think me saying LeBron to Los Angeles is clickbait? It is now a casual conversation. Chris Broussard in our show said 15 minutes ago, and I know who the player is, a star player in the NBA said, we think and I think it's going to happen. It is now a casual discussion with no outrage. And I think a lot of that is KD to the Warriors. We look at it now and think, well, of course you'd move. It's good for the brand. Younger players. LA over Cleveland. Why wouldn't you do it? Totally changed. You know, it is remarkable to me that people think Conor McGregor could beat Floyd Mayweather. It is absolutely remarkable to me. Boxing is a specialized talent. I mean, if I could, let's say you're a very smart person. You're listening to me right now, and you're a college kid. You're a 3.8 student. You come from a smart family. Just pretend, because we know it's not true, pretend you're smart. And you're a smart person right now. As smart as you are, I could not teach you in a week to be a pilot. I could not teach you to be a doctor. I could not teach you to be an attorney. You have law school, medical school, flight training. Even pilots now have to go back to flight training regularly. You do get that's what boxing is. You do get Michael Jordan tried to play baseball and embarrassed himself. You do get Randy Moss, great athlete, tried to play basketball and embarrassed himself. Boxing's even more specialized. The idea that Conor McGregor's not fighting a tin can, fighting the greatest boxer on the planet. He's not going to win a round. There are certain things that are not specialized. I'll give you an example. Sales. If you find a great pharmaceutical salesperson, let's say there's a young woman, she's a 30-year-old, she's a pharmaceutical salesman, she's terrific. She could apply many of those same skills to a different product. She could sell something else. He could sell something else. Sales isn't as specialized. Now, there are certain products that you really have to know. A car salesman better know cars, and a pharmaceutical salesman has to know what she or he is selling. But you can become a good salesman if you have a personality and you just work hard. And you can do it rather quickly. I mean, I can sell radio, I could sell TV, I could sell real estate tomorrow. I don't have a real estate license. I could sell real estate tomorrow because I know a little bit about it and I can talk. You can't just walk into a boxing ring and beat the world's best fighter. Look at the video I'm showing you of Floyd Mayweather. Look at the speed, the flexibility. He is at a different level, and he's the world's best at this. He is the world's best neurosurgeon. He's the world's best doctor. He's the world's best fighter pilot. And you're asking, it's almost like, taking an example. If I said the world's best decathlete, 10 events, and Usain Bolt, you'd be like, Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt is a specialist. He is a sprinter. If Usain Bolt, who is Floyd Mayweather, took on the best decathlete in the world in 10 events, the decathlete would beat him. He would trounce Usain Bolt. He would not beat him, though, in the 100 and 200. Usain Bolt is a specialist. He is a world-class sprinter. A decathlete is a B-plus sprinter, B-minus shot putter, B-plus javelin, B-minus 400, C-plus. You just don't want to be terrible at any of the event. He can long jump. He can high jump. He can sprint. He can javelin toss. He's not great at any of them. Okay, Floyd Mayweather is the world's best boxing specialist. He will humiliate Conor McGregor. And they're fighting in his ring. And they're using his gloves. And it's all boxing rules. This will not be competitive. Not be close and not be competitive. Christina with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, Colin, former Cowboys quarterback and now NFL broadcaster Tony Romo. Still very odd to say that, NFL broadcaster. Well, he's been making the media rounds. He was at a charity event yesterday and talked about a number of things, including Aaron Rodgers and his longevity. Let's take a listen to what he said.
I think Aaron's one of those guys who's uniquely talented and, a special player in our league for a long time that he can go as long as he wants to. If he stays injury-free, he may be, in his eyes, on the back nine, but as long as he wants to continue to take hits, he'll be able to play till he's 45. I mean, he has that kind of talent and ability.
I think it'd be impressive if anybody can play into their 40s, but the key phrase there being injury-free and being able to take the hits. We know Romo had issues with the injury, forced him into an early retirement. But my question is, do you think Aaron Rodgers even wants to play that long? Tom Brady talked about it. I mean, he wants to play into his 40s.
Well, Aaron, I don't know. You'd have to talk to Aaron. It's really funny. I mean, if Peyton Manning hadn't kind of devolved into his last year, I think Peyton Manning would have played. I've talked to pro athletes about this. Play as long as you can. I'm not going to quit radio and TV. If somebody's willing to sign checks and I still like coming to work, then I'm going to do this. Because this is one of these, my wife and I talk about this. This is a fun job. Some people go to factories and some people have to work outdoors in the summer or work outdoors in the winter. If you have a job and you really like doing it and somebody will pay you, just keep doing it. Now, I think Peyton Manning would have played for another 7 years, but I think he was, I know somebody that knew Peyton. He was struggling in cold weather. He couldn't feel his throwing hand fingers. Peyton just okay. But I don't know if Aaron has that personality. He may. I won't even guess because I don't know Aaron. I don't know if he's the kind of guy that's willing to play. And by the way, not play. He may be one of these guys. He likes music. He may be one of these artists. Okay, I'll give you an example, Christina. Bands. Mm-hmm. You watch Rolling Stones. Okay, they're not as good as they were 10 years ago. And then sometimes you watch these old bands and you're like, this is sad. But they tour and they sell out arenas and they're still making the same money. So who am I to tell the Who? Or, who am I to tell an athlete? If you're winning games and you're getting paid, keep playing.
Absolutely. And there's obviously a number of factors. Taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, avoiding the injury bug. But Rodgers is only 33 years old, so this is far down the road. But it's an interesting topic. Now, next story, we're talking a little NBA. Rest days before nationally televised games. This is according to ESPN, but the league is looking at being able to have those rest days before teams play those big marquee matchups in the prime time. What was the big issue last year? The rest issue. Obviously stars, resting before those matchups.
Yeah. I like when leagues, I say this selfishly, Christina, I like the summer league because it gives me another 2 weeks to talk hoops and Lakers and Celtics. I like Gordon Hayward was going to choose the Celtics because the Celtics are really popular, and if I talk Celtics, people are interested. I think all sports is a calendar, and by the NBA pulling the league to last 2 weeks longer, it allows me to talk a sport I love 2 weeks. So I've never understood why baseball playoffs are so short. Like if I was baseball, I'd chop 2 weeks off the regular season. I'd have the playoffs starting in the last week of August and get 2 to 3 more weeks of real estate for guys like me, ESPN, Fox to talk about it.
Right.
Like I don't know why more leagues don't spread their season out longer for free press.
Right. So they'd still play the 82 games, obviously, but they'd start a week earlier, less back-to-backs. They'd have more time to schedule those games. And so it doesn't eliminate the issue altogether because some teams rest guys on the second night of a back-to-back. Some do it on the first. So you just don't know, but it would certainly help. And this is actually a number of changes the NBA has been looking at this offseason. Also speeding up the pace of the game, eliminating timeouts late. So at the end of the day, it's an entertainment. You know, it's competition, but fans want to be entertained, and they're certainly trying to do that.
Get them in quickly. Have them driving home at a reasonable hour. One of the reasons I like the NBA is when I go to a Clipper or Laker game and I leave Staples, I can leave it at 9:25. I'm home by 9:50. I'm asleep by 10:20. That's a big part of sports. Like I tell people that don't like soccer, and I do like soccer, but I always say it's the only sport that if a game starts at 4, I can tell my wife we can go to dinner at 6. And I know that for sure. There is something about brevity in sports. It's entertainment. Christina, I don't know how you are, but if there's a movie, the first thing I look at is length of movie.
I'm the same way, yes.
Like I look at Hacksaw Ridge the other day. I'm on a plane. I'm like, oh, it's like 250. I can't give you.
Not doing
and then
that.
Founders like an hour 40. I'm like, okay, it's probably not the same movie, but it's an hour 40 and I'm out. So the same thing. If I can go to an arena and get home at a better hour earlier, I'm for the sport.
Definitely. And finally, I absolutely love this. Okay, so the Cubs, World Series winners, first time in 108 years, but they were not the only big winners, Colin. The Las Vegas sports books were big winners as well because there are thousands of uncashed Cubs World Series betting slips.
Why?
Yes, the fans are keeping them as mementos instead of cashing in.
What?
Yeah, so my question was going to be, would you cash it in or not? But judging by your reaction, I think you...
Well, first of all, those have to be smaller bets, like $30.
They're somewhere between, I think the largest would have been about $600. So we're in the 100 range.
Okay. So people have a chance to win thousands of dollars because they want to keep the momentum.
They want to keep the memento and say, I knew all along.
Why can't they do a Xerox? I don't understand. Why can't you get a copy?
There have actually been people that have requested to keep the ticket, which they cannot do. They can Xerox it, but they want to keep the original. Who knows? Frame it, keep it at home.
I'm going to tell you something. Sports fans are amazing. Seriously. This is amazing. We are so lucky to work in this business that half my audience hates me and still listens. And when I'm wrong, they still listen. And that they're not in it for the money, that they'll literally not cash in a winning ticket because they want to keep them memento. And there'll be season ticket holders in horrible weather in Buffalo where you know every game from October 20th on you're sitting in a blizzard. We better understand in this business we do, sports, how lucky we are to have a consumer base that's this loyal. That's a remarkable story. I'd cash in a $5 ticket. I couldn't give her. You got to be kidding me. Christina with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
Okay,
News.
I got a crazy person. Travis in Wisconsin is a Conor McGregor fan. He has no chance to win a round, but Travis, you're going to tell me Conor's psychological advantage, so you go ahead.
I really think Mayweather is going to have the advantage, obviously, as the boxer. But he does have something that nobody Mayweather has ever faced does have. He's got this psychological game that he plays with his opponents where he just, he gets them out of their game. Like, he's going to change it in a way that Mayweather's never seen before. He's going to get him, I think, angry. And that's his game. That's what he's doing with these press conferences and saying the off-color things that he's doing. And I don't think Mayweather's ever ran into anything like that. So I'll hang up and listen. Thanks for taking my call. First time, long time, all that. You're great, Colin. And I'll hang up and listen.
All right, buddy. Now have a nice summer. Okay, first of all, I thought when Conor McGregor fought Nate Diaz, and I said this at the time, it was my Ali Frazier. I sat there with 5 buddies watching that, some young, some old. I thought it was incredible. And, it's funny, I've been doing this for so long that nobody tells me what to say ever, including my bosses. I say what I want to say. And when I said that, people said, oh, you're such a UFC homer. I'm like, no. Diaz-McGregor was as entertaining a fight as I have seen in 20 years. It was remarkable. Today, I'm criticizing Conor McGregor, and the same guy that said I was a UFC sellout is now ripping me that I don't know the UFC. Nobody tells me what to say. I'm telling you, Conor's going to get wiped over. I mean, this was Conor's big proclamation on Tuesday. Listen to this baloney.
He is There's no other way about it. His little legs, his little core, his little head. I'm going to knock him out inside 4 rounds. Mark my words.
This is not going to happen. He's basically sold his soul for a paycheck, which I'm going to watch the fight too, so I'm not telling you not to watch the fight. Watch the fight. Is the MMA fans, this whole psychological advantage, and I've heard this not just from Travis but others. Psychology doesn't mean much once you get hit right in the mouth. That's the old Mike Tyson thing. Everybody talks until they get punched in the mouth. Is before the Super Bowl, I predicted New England would win by 3 to 4 points. That was my prediction. And everybody said, Atlanta's this, Atlanta's that, Atlanta's and I kept saying, they got no experience. And they may get off to a big lead. And they may have more players. But with 9 minutes to go in that game, I get Brady, I get Belichick, I get 19 guys who have been in a Super Bowl. You get Matt Ryan, you get Dan Quinn, and one guy that has. Like, psychology, I want experience. I want a guy that's been in the ring in these huge fights for 10 years and hasn't lost any of them and has almost never been hurt. Conor McGregor is not fighting. He's going into an experiment. Conor, it would be one thing if he fought a really weak boxer. This is not a boxing match for Conor McGregor. It's an experiment. This is like taking a doctor and letting him do my show for a day. He's not doing a radio show. He's doing an experiment. This is not an experiment for Floyd Mayweather. It is a boxing match. The other guy, never been here. From heart rate to footwork to an understanding of the angles to a temperament, it is an utter mismatch. And people say, well, what if he lands a big punch? They're using boxing gloves. Conor McGregor's big punches didn't knock out Nate Diaz. Now with a heavier glove and a faster professional boxer, they're going to knock out Mayweather? He's not knocking out most of the guys he fights in UFC with tiny gloves. They're not knocking out Mayweather with thick boxing gloves. Let's just say he lands an unbelievable punch. What you're basically saying, that's the chances if my pilot had a heart attack, me taking over the plane and landing it safely. That's what you're saying. Well, I've been on planes before. I've watched movies about how to land a plane. I could bring a stewardess up with me. We could talk our way through it. Like, this is not a boxing match for McGregor. It's an experiment. Derek Carr of the Raiders, right around the corner. He'll be joining us live. Well, I said this last year. I would have voted him MVP, and it was very obvious once he got hurt and was not part of the Raiders what happened to the football team. They went from the most exciting offense in the AFC, and they just sort of dissolved into an average team and didn't win a playoff game. And I feel lucky. They've already had some camps. He's back from the injury. He's got that new contract. He is Derek Carr via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. Raider quarterback. By the way, first of all, I love the fact that you have the Cowherd Show logo. Point that out to the people. Move that little. Look at that. I got you, man. That is sweet. That may be my career high right there.
You support me, I support you, man. That's how it works. I got you.
His brother, David Carr, I'm told, is just right behind him. Let me start with this. I was saying the other day, there was a stat that came out. And I said, I think interceptions are overrated. I don't mind if my quarterback throws interceptions. That means he's throwing the ball down the seam. He's taking chances. Yeah. He's sitting there in the pocket because you can't throw deep on a 3-step drop. When you're a quarterback, Derek, do you ever let go of the ball on longer routes, knowing you're not quite certain of the result? Take me through the psychology of a guy like you with a good arm, that throws deep? Because you do throw deep, and interceptions and how you perceive them.
Yeah, it's something that starts in practice. I tell all my wideouts that it's either you or nobody. I'm always going to give you a chance to make a play. I'm always going to give you that 50-50 ball, no matter who's guarding you. I will continue to give you a chance until the other team catches it. And so I just put it on their shoulders, and that way they know, hey, if my quarterback wants to throw me the ball, I need to go make a play. And if I make a bad throw, which it's going to happen, then go knock it down for me. And if they do that, I'm probably going to be more apt to throw it to them as if, even if they caught it. So as I drop back and you have that one-on-one matchup on a longer throw, deeper throw, there are times where you don't know who's going to come down with it. But it's that belief and trust in your teammate that, either he's going to catch it or he's going to rip the guy's head off so he doesn't. It's that belief right there that, makes you want to throw it.
You completed 64% of your throws. We're in an era. Joe Namath completed 50%. We're in an era now where we expect our quarterbacks to complete 64, 65. And there's more bubble screens and there are safer throws. Do you sometimes, because you've got a good arm, are there times that you have ever called out of a safer throw because you just want to exercise your ability to throw deep? Again, take me to in-game decisions that, because you could complete 70%, Derek, if you wanted to, you could do bubble screens all game. Yeah. How do you reconcile all that stuff?
Yeah, it's not as fun, you want to push the ball down the field. And there was an instance in, we were playing San Diego at home, who's now LA, but, we were playing them at home, and we had some slants called on 4th and 1, I believe. And Crabtree comes in the huddle, and I said, "Hey man, he's going to sit heavy inside right here. How about you run a slow go, and let's just hit him deep right here, and let's win it now." And he said, "Okay." And we ran the slow go, and we hit it. So that was an perfect instance where we could have took the slant, and hopefully he got inside and catch it and fall for the first down. But we kind of knew, they kind of knew, hey, it's 4th and 1. Might as well do a little move and run by him.
Derek Carr. When Tom Brady got hurt years ago, Derek, that he came back in the following year, I noticed that he was really aware of pressure around his knees and his feet. It took him a while. I tell the story. I used to drive a little motorcycle as a kid. I crashed hard one summer. It took me 2 years to get back on that thing and feel like, okay, I'm not going to get hurt. You hear people talk about that. You're coming off an injury. How do you go up to the line? Here's a fierce pass rush. It's coming at your feet. How do you not think about that now?
Yeah, that's something that, you always hear about with, leg or knee injuries. That happens, especially at the quarterback position with all the chaos that happens at our feet. And what I did is I just drilled it. I would drop back, have bags thrown at my feet all off season. Coach Downing and Coach Peets, I would drop back, and every throw I'd make, they're tossing a bag at my feet, hitting me in my legs with a bag, whatever they can do to make it annoying, to where he got to the point to where I was not even noticing it, to be honest. And I think that's a key thing to do in the rehab process is, the mental state is, once you get trust and belief in it, then, hey, now let's do the football things. And I would have my boys run at me. I said, I want you to tackle Daddy's leg every time. And I'd have him run and tackle it while I threw the ball, and have Heather come up and try and trip me and things like that. So I just got used to hitting it. And honestly, I'd just sit there and hit on it, whack on it. So I just knew, I'd hit it hard and make sure, I got used to that feeling again. But yeah, you have to train those things. As silly as it sounds, you got to do it.
Yeah. Derek Carr, Raiders, got his new contract. Marshawn Lynch is now a Raider. Now, years ago, Aaron Rodgers, who went to Cal, lobbied heavily for the Packers to go acquire Marshawn Lynch, who went to Cal. He was at Buffalo at the time, and Pete Carroll and the Seahawks went and got him. And Aaron Rodgers wanted him because Aaron knows how good he is. So I want you to take my audience into now Marshawn Lynch, tough guy. This is a guy that can carry the load. This is a guy on third down you turn and give it to. What has he added already? Like, what does he bring to a locker room?
Yeah. His tenacity, his want to. If you talk to him, there is no doubt that he's always going to run through the first guy. Just being around him, just talking to him. There's no doubt in his mind that he's going to run through people. And it's just that confidence that he carries. It just goes with him everywhere he goes. You could see it at practice. You get some of those younger linebackers fitting up on a run during OTAs and minicamp, and you could tell they're a little hesitant. Maybe, I don't know. Is he going to run me over? Does he? We don't have pads on. Who knows? With Marshawn, but it's it's what he brings with him. He's put it on film enough times where people know what he can do. And it's going to be a real interesting thing to watch. It's going to be fun to watch for me because I don't have to tackle him. But, if I had to, I'd do my best. I'd probably tackle his shoelace really hard. But, yeah, no, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. It's going to bring a dynamic to our team that you have to respect that downhill run on 3rd and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, who knows, 3rd and 5 with our offensive line and the push they can get. It just adds one more dimension that we can have. Throughout a football game.
Your brother David Carr, I'm told, is right behind you, and he's a wonderful guy. And when it has to be an advantage to have a smart older brother who played this position. Are there times, Derek, that there has to be times that you lean on him for stuff, right?
Oh, all the time. Ever since I got to the NFL. There isn't a situation that I've been through that he didn't go through. And so he's been there every step of the way whenever I need him to ask him a question. And the cool thing is my business manager, H. Cole, he likes to say, I've been in the NFL 12 years before I was even in the NFL myself. Right. And he's right, because I was my brother's shadow. And everything I learned from him, all the information, studying defenses, all those things, when I hit the ground running as a rookie, I didn't really feel like a rookie, to be honest. I just felt like it was the next step in my life. And I knew the game was faster and those things, and I had to experience it for myself. But from a mental standpoint, not only just the game, but how to react to certain situations and how to handle myself and carry myself through hard times and good times. I already knew how to do those things. I didn't have to learn on my own like he did. He was able to just tell me from the beginning how to do it.
Go back to your first year. Our final question with Derek Carr live in Danville, California, and to now. I want you to compare yourself, your first NFL snap to practice snaps now, and the depth of knowledge you have. Like when you look at your rookie self compared to now, is it just a bigger phone book? Take me to that place.
Yeah, when I think of myself now, obviously the game's a lot slower. The confidence level is very high. And sometimes too high with some of the throws I try. But, I've seen things, and there's nothing like experience. My rookie year, I turned the film on and I just see a young kid who knew what he was doing, but at the same time was just out there throwing fastballs.
Right.
Even if I made a mistake, throw it hard enough to where the DB couldn't catch it, kind of a thing. So, luckily for a rookie year, I didn't throw too many picks, but, for me, the whole deal my rookie year was I'm going to go out there, I'm going to play as hard as I can, I'm going to throw this thing as hard as I can, and I'm going to just try and make the best decision possible. Whereas I'm in a place now where I'm just playing my game. You can see the difference in demeanor with how I describe that. I'm just playing my game and doing that to the best of my ability, trying to help us win. And what's crazy is I can see every detail play out in the games now. I can see every decision, how that makes a difference throughout the game. Before I even get to it. And so I'm just playing the game more mentally, whereas my rookie year, it was all physically. Thank the Lord I can still whip it and, throw it with the best of them. But, mentally, I think is the biggest difference.
Finally, Summer League, you're a Laker fan. Have you watched Lonzo Ball? What do you think?
I love it, man. I think that, what is he, 19 years old? I think we need to give him a break a little bit. He's a 19-year-old playing a grown man's sport.
Yeah.
I think the thing that bugs me the most is they're like, oh yeah, he has. They're updating his stats every second of these summer league games. Let's not get carried away. The summer league, give the guy a break. He's just working on his game. These are just like preseason games, and so I think that every time they pull a stat, he's at 8 points and 4 assists, and he has 5 turnovers. So it's like, okay, dude, give him a break, man. The kid's 19, playing, in the NBA, quote unquote, for the first time. Yeah. I think he's going to be all right. Every interview he does, he seems humble.
Yep.
He gives his teammates the credit. He seems like a leader. And I think those are the things that are going to bode well for him, that if he can continue to reach the level that he can probably reach and remain that humble person that he is, the sky's the limit for him.
Congrats. We got to run in the largest contract in NFL history. You deserve every penny of it. You are a really good, gracious person, a fantastic talent, and a better dude. Good luck to you, bud.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. With the Herd microphone, Derek Carr. Told you I would have voted him MVP last year. He is an all-timer, man. How exciting is it if you're a Raider fan? How exciting is that? You're not going to believe our guest. I am so excited for the next hour. It's The Herd. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and Fox Sports Go right now. Christina Fink is joining me. Christine Leahy is out. Europe vacation, probably romantic over there in Europe. Well, she told me it was, so I can say that.
Are we confirmed that? Have you checked with your sources?
I'm married. I don't go on those romantic vacations anymore. First of all, I got to tell you, in the next 20 minutes, we're going to have on a guest. This is very fun for me. So, because now I live in a city that has 2 NBA teams, we both do, Christina, that when you're doing sidelines, you probably have a lot of good NBA sources. And I rely, I've been doing this for 25 years. And I always think it's funny when I hear these stories about, millennials want to watch young sportscasters. And I'm always like, when I was 25, I just wanted to hear sportscasters that had good sources. I don't care what their age is. So being a sideline reporter, you have tremendous sourcing. You've got scouts and GMs and coaches and players. It's a great advantage. Sideline jobs can be a great sourcing opportunity. Me, I'm just old. So I've been around. So I have 2 or 3 scouts, and I rely on them heavily pre-draft, post-draft, free agency, and the summer league. And so I'm talking to 2 of my favorite guys. They are scouts. Now, scouts don't want to go public all the time because a scout's not a GM. He doesn't have that power. Scouts a lot of times like to go a little more anonymous. They don't want to get anybody in trouble, but we have a handful of scouts that I text during the show. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? So we're going to have an anonymous NBA scout on. Now, we know who it is. So he's going to be coming on in about 15 minutes. And I'm going to ask him about Lonzo and Jason Tatum and Dennis Smith and all these guys. And he'll talk. This is how the scouts see the world. And how scouts see the world is not how, like, fans watching on TV.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know this. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different conversation. So in about 15 minutes, we're going to bring an anonymous NBA scout on. I'm very excited. We know who it is, but I'm not going to tell you. We're going to protect this person's maybe we'll matrix.
Are we going to blur his face? Is it going to be on the phone, dark room? How are we setting this up?
I think we should.
I'm intrigued.
I think we should ask him to turn the lights off in the room he's sitting, just in case anybody spots a guy talking to himself and knows he's on the Herd. So I want to start this hour with this. Pro Football Focus is a website, and they're doing something, their first ever foundation draft. And it's fun. They are asking the question, if you started your franchise, who would you start with? And it's the foundation draft. And they had all their guys vote on it, and they have their, top 20 guys. And it's interesting because their top 4 is my top 4. And of course, you do quarterback, but it shows you who you ultimately respect. There's a list of a lot of guys, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. They feel too old. I would not start my franchise with those guys. Neither did Pro Football Focus's analysts. There's also a series of young guys, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. They're too young, Dak Prescott. So the final 4 that they ended up with, would be my final 4. Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, number 2, Russell Wilson, number 3, and Derek Carr, number 4. Now, I would have Andrew Luck, number 1, and Aaron 2 if Andrew Luck was throwing. But he has been so beat up the last 2 years, kidney issues, throwing issues. He hasn't thrown the football in 6-7 months. I just don't know if I'm going to get Andrew Luck minus about 15% of physical ability. But they have Andrew after Aaron, then it goes Russell Wilson and Derek Carr. And I've said this for years about Russell Wilson, that since 2012, Russell Wilson has the highest yards per attempt of all quarterbacks. He has done that with Pete Carroll, a defensive coach, and below average offensive lines. Your true value is what you are worth on the open market. And I am confident not only in my belief, but Pro Football Focus, these are people that do this for a living, see the world like I do. Aaron 1, Andrew Luck 2, Russell Wilson 3, Derek Carr 4. Now they have Dak Prescott 5. I'm not willing to go there. I'd probably go like a Matt Ryan. I haven't thought about it, but probably a Matt Ryan. I'm not sure. Dak, I have to watch another year of Dak. But what really made me happy is because I think Aaron's obvious, Luck's obvious, and I think Derek Carr's really special. But it was nice to see Russell Wilson in here. I've said this for weeks. It is remarkable to me how much favorable publicity Cam Newton gets as an average quarterback and how much we nitpick Russell Wilson as a premier quarterback. Of all the players in this league, Russell Wilson finished third. If you look at the media coverage of Cam Newton, it is apologetic. He's a mediocre quarterback. Russell Wilson is putting up some all-time numbers here. Do you realize in the history of the quarterback ranking, Rodgers 1, Brady 3, Russell Wilson 2. That is with, on average, the weakest unit on the Seahawks being their offensive line 1 and receivers 2. So I love what Pro Football Focus had to say about that. Aaron Rodgers, I agree, 1. Andrew Luck off surgery, 2. I agree with. Russell Wilson, 3. And Derek Carr, 4. Now, let me shift gears. I also want to touch on this. Today is the last stop in the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather press tour. It started here in Los Angeles, then it went to Toronto, beautiful city, then it went to New York, and then yesterday it was London, and now today it's London. It's all over, right? So here's what's really something that I'm kind of surprised we're all okay with. Like Muhammad Ali was a trash talker, but Muhammad Ali was amazing. And generally, we're okay with Michael Jordan having confidence or Larry Bird coming out to the three-point shooting contest. And remember the old story about Larry Bird? He came out for the three-point shooting contest, and Larry Bird said, all right, which one of you guys is playing for second place? But we're all okay with that as sports fans. Larry's a legend. Muhammad Ali was amazing. Michael Jordan, greatest ever. Here's what's interesting. A lot of you are betting Conor McGregor. None of the wise guys, none of the sharps. You do realize that Conor McGregor is just a loudmouth, and not only is he going to not just lose the fight, but never win a round, he's already lost 3 times as a UFC fighter. So he's not even dominating, I mean truly dominating, as a UFC fighter. Right now he's a con man selling you pay-per-views. And you may not like Floyd Mayweather, and I don't like a lot of things in his past, but he's actually been somewhat demure and more tasteful than Conor McGregor. If you go to the odds in Vegas, which RJ Bell told us this morning, it's Floyd minus 700. Now, it opened at like Floyd minus 2250, meaning you'd have to bet basically $2,200 to win a nickel. But it's been bet down by rubes and like common bettors. Wise guys, sharps, they're all on Mayweather, and you should be. But minus 700. Now think about this. Basically, this would be, and we looked it up this morning, this would be the 150th ranked player on the tennis tour trash-talking Roger Federer at Wimbledon. This would be Coastal Carolina trash-talking Kentucky. I went and looked this morning at the odds of some football games. Kent State plays Clemson this year. Kent State is a 38-point underdog. This would be Kent State talking trash at the 50-yard line to Clemson before kickoff. UTEP is a 44-point dog against Oklahoma. This would be UTEP going into Norman, Oklahoma, because remember, Mayweather is fighting in a boxing ring. It's home ring advantage. What would we do in sports if Winthrop, if Coastal Carolina went into Lexington and talked trash and got beat by 40? We'd call them buffoons. This is a 16 against a 1 seed. And the 1 seed is playing at home. Think about this. McGregor has to wear boxing gloves. Think about that. So Mayweather is controlling even what these guys wear. That's Kentucky playing Coastal Carolina, and Kentucky says it's in our arena, and you have to wear our jerseys inside out. This is a complete, utter mismatch from gear. By the way, Mayweather will make twice as much as Conor McGregor. Yet people are cheering Conor McGregor at this. So you would cheer UTEP talking trash to Clemson, or Kent State against Clemson, or Coastal Carolina taking on Duke and Kentucky. This fight will not be competitive. Vegas knows it will not be competitive. Wise guys are overwhelmingly betting McGregor. McGregor is going to make half as much. McGregor has to wear Mayweather's gear. McGregor has no rules in his advantage. He is right now a loudmouth con man selling pay-per-views. And he is the most vulgar and outspoken at this press conference, and everybody's apparently okay with it. And I find it interesting. Maybe this is just how culturally boxing and mixed martial arts lands for us, that we just like the blather. But can you imagine somebody that's this decided an underdog talking trash? Conor McGregor's like, make it a circus. I'll sell pay-per-view. So I just want you to know that as much as everybody is cheering Conor McGregor, he's the con man here. Let me segue into this. So I watched Lonzo Ball again last night. I watched some Summer League stuff. I know most of you don't. And Lonzo's statistical line was okay. He's the first player ever to have a triple-double at the Summer League, and he just had his second last night. I didn't think he was particularly effective. I thought he looked gassed. I think it is now time for the Lakers to take him out of Summer League and rest him. I think it's time for the Lakers to scale back on the minutes. I got the distinct feeling last night that the Lakers almost care about Lonzo's points and stats, and the Lakers almost care about winning this thing, and it means nothing. I like Lonzo Ball. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. I've even on occasion defended his outrageous promoting dad. But Lonzo Ball is averaging the second most minutes of anybody in the Summer League. That's pumping up his stats. Dennis Smith at Dallas and Josh Jackson at Phoenix and Jason Tatum at Boston have been far better players so far, and De'Aaron Fox has been more efficient. This is not an argument. The stats for Lonzo Ball now are being pumped up by simply the minutes he is playing. Here's the reality of Summer League basketball. Lonzo Ball, who's going to be a very nice player, is shooting an atrocious 36% and playing no defense against scrubs. And last night, he looked tired. It's time to pull him. It's time to scale it back. They already pulled out Brandon Ingram. And I'm a fan of Lonzo Ball. And I think he's going to be a terrific rookie. And I think he's remarkably interesting for the Lakers. And he'll elevate the team. But let's not kid ourselves now. Let's add some context to this. He is atrocious defensively and can't shoot against scrubs. And the Lakers over-under is 32.5 wins. It has not moved in a week when Lonzo Ball's played well. Let's add context to this. I felt watching last night, it felt like a little bit of a charade. It was, let's keep playing Lonzo Ball. He was on the court last night looking for places to rest. Let's not make this into a charade. Right now, Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Dennis Smith have been more efficient. They're playing fewer minutes. They're playing more consistent basketball, and they all look to be in better shape. At this point, Lonzo looks gassed and needs a break. For the record, the best game he played was after he rested for a game. Coming up next, an anonymous NBA scout. What he has seen from Lonzo. Nobody to protect. Complete honesty. The true car you can find when other people in your area pay for the same car you're looking for. $3,000 off MSRP. New or used, doesn't matter. All right, I promised an anonymous NBA scout. There is no agenda here. There is no protecting anybody. There is no team to talk for. And I'm not going to give you his name, but he is a scout that we covet, and his information is valuable to us. And he was at the Summer League games last week, and we are welcoming anonymous NBA scout to the show. Anonymous, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, let's start with this. Lonzo Ball has played the second most minutes. I felt for the first time last night he needed to be taken out of a game. He looked gassed. He looked tired. He was finding spaces to rest. I love his length. I think he's fairly fluid, though not overly dynamic. What have you seen so far that you like about Lonzo Ball, and what should concern us?
The things I like about him the most are the way the ball moves when he's involved, whether it's a direct pass or what I call a discovery pass. The basketball seems to have life when it's in his hands. It just moves. And it's not the assist that I'm really looking for, but when he plays, when he, I was watching courtside a couple of times watching him play, it's just different. The ball just gets smarter when it's in his hands. It moves quickly. It's not always, like I said, the fancy, sexy scoring play that the highlights saw the first night with Ingram, but he just makes the correct play.
How concerned should people be about his shooting to this point in the mid-30s range?
Not at all. I saw the first game, and he didn't score very much, I don't think, the first game. His competitive advantage has nothing to do with shooting the basketball. His competitive advantage is his vision, his ability to pass it. He shot over 40% from the three-point line in college. I know that's a shorter line. Guys coming out of college going to the NBA have a difficult time backing up 4 feet to shoot that shot. And it's going to take some time. I'm not worried about his shooting ability at all. He's going to handle it. He's going to move it. And if he gets a few points here and there, I'm happy for it. But it's not something that I would concern myself at all. That's not what I'm looking for.
Anonymous NBA scout joining us. It's an interesting world we live in, and I want to ask how it's changed for you. There were certain things years ago that were really important when a player was drafted. But now, if a guy's got length and can shoot, it covers up a lot of blemishes. And Kyle Kuzma for the Lakers is long. He can put it on the deck. His shot's a little flat, but it's accurate. Maybe 8 years ago, I'm not as impressed, but I watch him and I think to myself, wow, it looks like the Lakers found a contributing player at the bottom of the first round. Am I reaching here? What do you see?
I saw him play just sparingly. I didn't see him play a ton. I think what teams look for at the bottom of the first round on these later picks is what can they bring to maybe the second unit of a team.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to be a starter right away. It's somebody that you need to fill a specific role, a job. There's going to be a lot of job openings in LA. Their roster is wide open, and there's going to be a lot of options for them to try to fit pieces together. But you want guys that can be productive. And the thing about Summer League, it's sort of fool's gold, is sort of like the G League, where I don't want the leading scorer in the G League on my NBA team, because that's not what that guy's going to do when he gets to my NBA team. I need a guy that can do a specific thing. It's a big that can run and screen and defend the rim, or it's a guy that can be a specialist and shoot. I think Kuzma's got that ability to just fill a small niche, and to start with. And I'm all about being aspirational and trying to do more. But at the time, he's going to get a job with the Lakers if he does his specific job really well and doesn't try to do more of that in the moment.
Anonymous NBA scout joining us. Dennis Smith, Mavericks, is as athletic as we suspected. Josh Jackson's looked good with the Suns. Jason Tatum with the Celtics. Let's start with Dennis Smith, Mavericks. I was told coming in, and then I watched him, I thought, wow, he's dynamic. Little Stevie Francis maybe, but Stevie Francis could at times take shots I didn't want and I didn't consider to be a great leader. Let's start with Dennis Smith. What do you see?
A lot of tough twos, what we call tough twos. A guy in front of you, and you try to make them change of direction 2 times and pull up for a jump shot. Only a certain handful of guys can make those kind of shots, and it's usually the top 5 guys in our league. But his athleticism is going to be his competitive advantage. He's probably the most athletic guy in the summer league, and if you're that good of an athlete, there's going to be a spot for you. But again, it goes back to what I believe in terms of how you get a job and keep a job is doing what you do that no one else can do, and that's be an athlete. Dallas has got a pretty smart coaching staff, and they're going to figure out where to put him to take advantage of that and not put him in a place where he can't succeed. So optimistic for him just for his athletic ability.
Jason Tatum for the Celtics. What do you like?
He's special. Saw him courtside, and he's got great length. He can go either direction off the dribble. His space creation was really unique. He's really long, pretty tall, creates a ton of space on his turnaround jump shots. He does take a lot of tough twos, as I talked about earlier, but his ability to put it on the floor and get to the rim at that size, I don't know what is 6'8", I think is what he is. He's going to be good. I don't know where he plays in Boston. It depends on if they make any more moves and where they what they've got on the perimeter. But he is. You see him, and you always talk about the eye test. He passes the eye test for sure. And one of the things that I'll mention about all these guys is the NBA game is different. I think guys when they get to the NBA are actually a little bit better than they skewed in college, and I believe that's because of space. In the NBA, there's way more space than there is in college, and that has a lot to do with the way the defenses tilt and help and recover. There's going to be more space for him to drive it and to get to the rim, and I think it's going to be even better than what we've seen in the past.
Anonymous NBA scout joining us. Josh Jackson of the Suns. I said he was my favorite two-way player coming into the draft. I had watched him at Kansas, and I thought, boy, what an athlete, little Jimmy Butler thing going on, but I don't know if he can shoot. And again, I tend to, Mr. Scout here, I tend to be willing to give young college kids a break on shooting. I think you can. Lonzo Ball's got a quirky delivery, and you don't have a problem with it. Josh Jackson, your takeaway on him?
I don't worry about the shooting either. If anybody knows the Kawhi Leonard story, they overhauled his jump shot day one. Their shooting coach in San Antonio overhauled his shot and made it completely different. I don't worry about his shooting either. What I like is his measurables. His length is off the chart, and he's athletic. And I almost dislike the term two-way player. Basketball is a two-way game, and I know some guys will focus only on one end or the other, but he's long enough and athletic enough to be able to play two ways. I do like, that's a reasonable expectation, is to play both ends of the floor. If he's going to, be a productive player in the NBA for a long time, he's going to have to figure out to do it both ways. I do like him. I think he's a good kid. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Sort of a long guy that can put it on the floor and finish. Again, a really good elite athlete. So I think he's going to be fine. But, and Phoenix is going to struggle with what they're doing anyway. So I think he'll probably get a lot of playing time, and you'll get to see him quite a bit.
And finally, our anonymous NBA scout. Give me a kid you have seen. And, you're a scout. There is some guesswork here, but you certainly know a lot more than I do. You have prototypes, people you can compare it to. You get film I don't see. Has there been a player that surprised you in the Summer League?
There's two guys, and one guy that I've been watching for a couple years now, and he's in the Celtics organization, and nobody outside of Ames, Iowa is going to know who he is, but Abdel Nader is with the Celtics, and he played for the Maine Red Claws last year in now the G League. He's a name that was always top three of players to watch in the G League. I think he's going to get a chance to play this year. Big kid, 6'6", actually handles the basketball, makes plays, doesn't dominate the ball. I like him a lot. And then the other guy is Bryn Forbes, former Spartan. Had some time with the Spurs last year in a few games and averaged a bunch. Can shoot the bottom out of it. Again, can come in as a specialist. He is leading the Summer League in scoring, and that's not anything that I actually care about or put any stock into, although he's making shots against the competition. It is an important thing. But when he gets to San Antonio, that's not going to be his job necessarily. It's going to be to make open jump shots. So those two guys, once again, the Spurs, they do what they do, and they find a guy that might have been overlooked or, not sure what, the opinions were mixed on him, and they pull him in and they make him a player. So, those two guys are ones that I would take a look at.
Anonymous NBA scout. Let me just go back to Lonzo real quick. If I said to you Lonzo is a 12-point, 8-assist, 4-rebound guy, shoots 39%, realistic?
I think you're short on the assist number. Get that into the double digits. The rebounding, you're close, I guess. Rebounding's not crazy important, but I think that's fair. I think that, the comparisons to Jason Kidd are really accurate, but I think he's a little more athletic. What I think is going to happen with him is there's going to be, again, I talked about the discovery pass. There's going to be plays that are made that he's going to be involved in that aren't going to have his name on it. But it's going to be a good play where the ball moves. It's funny. I'm actually watching the games right now on TV, and he just made the play that I was talking about, sort of a hockey pass, the assist before the assist. I just think the ball is going to be smarter. It's going to move better with him on the floor. And, Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka talked about him being transcendent. I don't know exactly what, I guess transcendent is up for opinion, but I think he's going to be really good. I think you're going to see a point guard in LA that you haven't seen since Magic. It's the ball it just has life when he's on the floor, and I'm excited to see how he does. Now, I think LA, obviously, they got things to do with the rest of their roster to make themselves better. They're not going to be great right away, but he is going to help them win a lot of games. I think you're going to see a big chunk of improvement in the wins from last year.
Wow, this is the most fun I've had interviewing an anonymous person in my entire 20-some year career. Anonymous scout. If I knew who you were, I'd buy you a steak. Christine's laughing at me here. Whoever you are and wherever you are, tremendous work today. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
You know what? From this point forward, all of our guests are going to be anonymous. On this show, no more. With Derek Carr, I'm just going to show you like a figurine of Derek Carr.
Unnamed QB. You know who I am. You can buy me the steak. It's all good.
Okay. There you go. When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico's been saving people money on it for 75 years. Go to geico.com. It's simple. They know what they're doing. Geico.com. Christina with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, Colin, we know that Paul George ultimately ended up in OKC. They actually introduced him earlier this week. He's going to be playing alongside Russell Westbrook. But one of the interesting things about this trade is after the fact, hearing about all the coulda, woulda, shoulda trades that were going to happen. People thought he was coming to LA, going to Boston. One new one yesterday, according to Woj over at ESPN, is that the Pacers actually called up the Warriors and offered Paul George for Klay Thompson.
I wouldn't make that do. I wouldn't, no.
Well, yeah. I don't know if this even qualifies as trade talks because the Warriors basically said, no thanks, not interested, and the conversation ended there. But it's still pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think Paul George is a better player, but here's the thing. Golden State is so unique in my lifetime. I go back to remember those, like in the late 90s, the Yankees had that great dynasty, and they had some young guys, Jeter, Bernie Williams, Posada, Mariano Rivera. Then they had the old guys, Scott Brocious, Andy Pettit, Tim Raines, David Wells. Even with the 49ers, if you go back to the 80s, they had Ken Norton, Deion Sanders, Matt Millen, old guys, young guys, Dexter Carter, Brent Jones, Bill Romanowski. Generally, dynasties have the savvy veterans who have been there and the young, youthful, energetic, athletic kids. The Warriors' 4 stars are all in their prime, all around 26. I just think you just let it go until they start screaming and yelling and throwing things at each other. This is not one of these where I have to manage the old guys' contracts. This is 4 guys in their prime. Just let them go until eventually. I was watching a thing on Mike and the Mad Dog last night. There was this 30-30 documentary, and they were talking about at the end they just hated each other, And I was thinking, sometimes in sports you get really lucky and you get magic with chemistry. You just let it go, knowing that 6 years from now they'll all hate each other. But I don't think you mess with it.
Yeah,
I think this is they're all 4 26. It never works that way.
Yeah, and even Paul George doing an interview kind of laughed at. He said, yeah, it would have been nice to join a championship run, but I don't think he joked, I don't think the league would have allowed that one.
Nope.
And we brought up Tony Romo earlier, joining the broadcast booth this year in the NFL. Takes a lot of prep, a different kind of prep, but not like playing, but he's been in the offseason working on critiquing players. And here's something he said at a charity golf event yesterday I thought was kind of interesting. Here's a quote. He said, the first 2 games I did, actually some of my bosses there at CBS told me, we need you to not be quite so harsh. So I think that part of it is probably I have to find a fine line because the standard for playing this game is just that high.
CBS has a reputation. I'm not being critical. CBS has a reputation. Their management is very conservative, that they don't want to make waves. So CBS, you can go back to Cronkite and Rather and Scott Pelley in 60 Minutes. It's a little staid. It can be a little formulaic. CBS doesn't want their announcers. They don't like controversy. They just don't. You know, it's like I've worked at my former employer, ESPN, which is very much brand before individual. Here at Fox, we like big personalities. We want Terry Bradshaw, Skip Bayless. So every network is different. Tony Romo probably would have been a better fit here because you can have more personality, and Tony will let it rip. CBS does not want its announcers. I've known a lot of people that work at CBS. It's a great company. They don't want ripples. So, you know, that's why when you replace Phil Simms, everybody wants Phil out. But Nance and Phil Simms, you know, weren't going to make a lot of waves. Jim is pretty conservative with his commentary. Phil Simms kept it, you know, right down the highway. It'll be interesting to watch because they don't have a history. CBS doesn't have a history of liking flamethrowers. That's just not their thing.
Yeah, and Romo, by all accounts, awesome, incredibly nice guy. But most guys that I see that are fresh out of the game have trouble being critical. They're often a little nicer because these are guys that they just suited up with, just played against. So it's funny to hear that he's on the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
He's being too harsh and they're asking him to
You
dial it back.
You don't get that much.
No. So last story here, Colin, we had to bring it back because I know you love this one. The Cubs ending their 108-year World Series drought. And although Cubs fans won big, the Vegas sports books winning bigger because several thousand Cubs fans, instead of cashing in on bets that they made for the Cubs to win the World Series, are holding on to those as keepsakes because they want the mementos instead of the actual cash.
That's a remarkable to me. I cannot imagine having a $2,000 or $3,000 ticket and not cashing it in. My guess is those are mostly people with $20 bets or $30 bets. Christina with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
There's a new sports comedy tour out. We'll touch on that next. And what you're seeing that we haven't really seen before, but we're now seeing it happen all the time in this world of sports we love. I love all these UFC fans are just going crazy. Colin, you don't understand. Conor McGregor, I totally get him. He sold his soul to make $100 million, $50 after taxes. He's going to retire. And that's okay. But let's not kid ourselves. He sold his soul. They're not going to use UFC gloves. It's boxing gloves. They're not fighting in an octagon. They're fighting in a ring. Mayweather totally controlled this fight, has all the rules, all the gear, anything you'd want is all in Mayweather's favor. And McGregor sold his soul knowing he has no chance to win a round. He's talking himself into a lot of things, but deep down it's going to be a Usain Bolt Mayweather, a specialist, fighting a decathlete being McGregor, and they're racing in a 100-meter sprint. It's going to be an absolute dominating performance by Mayweather. It will not be close. I'm going to buy it, so go buy it. It'll be fun. But McGregor's just a loudmouth. He doesn't have anything to back it up. He's basically sold his soul for this fight. Gloves, ring, I'll do whatever it takes to get the money. And now he's just trying to ramp up pay-per-views. Good for him. I'll pay for it and watch, but he has no chance to land a punch. And if he did, they're using boxing gloves, which he's not used to, and they're not going to knock out Mayweather. I mean, to knock out Mayweather, you'd need a combination, 4, 5, 6, 7 punches. You think he's just going to go in there with a haymaker from left field and knock him out and the fight's over? Zero chance of that happening. That is not going to happen. You know, it'd be one thing if he was if Mayweather's number one asset was boxing and he was really skilled at it, and you figured over the course of 6 rounds he landed some heavy combinations, a couple in the second, one in the fourth. Then he gets to the 8th, 9th. He's done some body blow. You're not going to touch him. I mean, on Fox Sports Go here, when you show the video of Mayweather, compare it to the video of McGregor. It's like a world-class championship magician and, your Uncle Louie doing card tricks. Like, it's a totally different ball game here. Here's some disturbing news. Chris Broussard said earlier today that LeBron is not going to the Lakers. Here's where he's probably going to go.
If he leaves Cleveland, and your desire is to win, to beat Golden State, I think there's one place that's ahead of everywhere else, and it's not the Lakers. It's San Antonio.
God, that would be awful. Oh, don't do that. Come on. Go somewhere exciting. Don't, please. That would be like the best high school quarterback going to play at Alabama. Why? Because they can turn and hand the ball off 40 times a game? Have the best quarterback going to an offensive-minded coach who throws the ball. So this week was interesting. There was a lot of Conor McGregor was trying to be like a comedian, was kind of funny. Peyton Manning hosted the ESPYs. I thought he was, for the clips I saw, I thought he was fantastic. And, years ago they had the Blue Collar Comedy Tour with Jeff Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy and Ron White and Bill Engvall. It was called the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Did very, very well. And then years ago we had the Kings of Comedy with Bernie Mac and Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey and DL. He was in that. We've had these comedy tours. I was sitting around, I was thinking, Charles Barkley's funny, and Peyton Manning this week was funny, and Conor McGregor was vulgar, but at times kind of funny. And I think they should put together the original Kings of Sports comedy tour. Take a look.
If you loved the original Kings of Comedy, you'll love the original Kings of Sports Comedy, featuring all your favorite funny athletes, like Peyton Manning, who delivers the Omaha-has.
And our gymnastics team was so dominant that Kevin Durant told me he wants to play for them next year.
Then Sir Charles will have you chuckling.
Old cheese, Shaq. And the chips are stale.
Then there's the notorious and hilarious Conor McGregor.
What the is he wearing?
And finally, for the kids, everyone's favorite laugh master, Bill Belichick.
I'm the coach. I do what's best for the football team. I don't know why we can't understand that.
Catch the original Kings of Sports Comedy. Hopefully, it'll be funnier than this lame bit.
Bill Belichick's subtle, nuanced humor, I think, really, he would be the opener. He wouldn't be, Peyton Manning and Charles would close it.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
But we got to get that on a loop. I love that.
Fantastic. Christina Pink has been joining us today. Jason Whitlock is in Monday. I am totally jealous. He has Michael Vick on. Michael Vick, I first met Michael Vick, it must have been like 7 years ago. And Michael Vick, he was coming off the situation with the dogs. Mm-hmm. And my co-host at the time, Michelle Beadle, loves her animals. And it was kind of an uncomfortable show we did because she wouldn't make eye contact with him. She's like, I can't do this. And I was kind of in the middle of it. It was very uncomfortable. And I totally understood her position completely. She was really offended by it. And so I remember Michael Vick coming into the studio. And I was really taken back. I've met like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 active NFL quarterbacks, and I've known 20. They're usually big. They're taller. They're broad. They're not narrow-shouldered. They're big guys. They've all got big personalities. Like, you're like, oh, that's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Like, they're big, confident. Like, if a CEO walked into a room, there's some personality. They've got to be the alpha person, right? And Michael Vick walked in the room, and he was so quiet. And he stood in the corner. He had like a hoodie on not the hood on, but like a hoodie outfit on. And he had like 5 buddies around him. He was the least talkative. He was so quiet. He was so, his manners were almost like he was over thank-youing everybody. And I'm like, wow. I always found it fascinating that Michael Vick, of all the NFL quarterbacks I met, he didn't have a quarterback personality. He doesn't like crowds. And I'm like, he was America's most fascinating player for about 3 to 5 years. And then we had him on this show. Didn't I have him on about 3 months ago? He was terrific. And I've always found Michael to be fascinating. It's almost like the man upstairs gave him some gifts, and he used them brilliantly. But his personality to me didn't match superstar quarterback. Because, they're usually like a Favre or, like Cam. They're bigger than life. And so I would love to sit down with Michael Vick, and Jason Whitlock will do that Monday. And I'm jealous because my bosses came to me about 6 months ago, and they gave me a bunch of names of people. like going into a season. They say, hey, football's coming up. We're going to give you 20 names. And 15 of them I'm like, not really interesting. And the one I'm like, they said, what do you think about Michael Vick? And I said, I think he would be an interesting analyst because Michael is one of those guys that had this horrible thing happen to him. And remember when he did that press conference and he didn't, unlike all politicians and presidents, he didn't read from anything. He went up, he took command of the room. He said, I'm deeply sorry. I made a huge, huge mistake. And I remember saying at the time at the other place I used to work, that's the best apology press conference, politician, businessman, athlete I'd ever seen in my life. So Whitlock will have Michael Vick on, and I think you'll enjoy it. He's a really interesting guy, can be very introspective, very self-analytical of his career and what happened to it. And again, I'll say, when I saw him play for Virginia Tech, I just never seen – he was like Russell Wilson with 4.2 speed. Andrew Luck, but more nimble. Christina, been a pleasure. I'm going on vacation. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And enjoy the crew next week. I'm going to take a week off. It's the Herd.